Hello, fellow gaming collectors and enthusiasts. Welcome to Game Time with Kyle. Kind of a fun little cheesy little amateur show. We talk about a whole wide range of gamings, from gameplay videos. We have a system review today, consoles and handhelds and hidden gems and all that fun stuff. So if you're watching for the first time, huge welcome. It's nothing special, but it's a fun little video and I enjoy doing it. And I met some of the bestest people online that you could possibly meet. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out today to fellow Cartridge Club member Steven from CatMax Gaming. I'll provide a link in the description, link to his videos. Kind of similar to this channel, he shows off a lot of his collections. He's more of a collector of gaming, as well as just memorabilia, lots of figures and toys and just all that cool stuff that's both anime and gaming. He has just a great channel and a super great guy. Follow him on Twitter as well. He always has something new to show off, and awesome guy to chat with. So Steven, CatMax Gaming, pleasure to be a buddy of yours. So on today's episode, I'm really excited to do this. I've been wanting to do this one for a little while. Finally have enough time to sit down and finally do a system overview of the good old Sega Game Gear. That's right, it's Sega's really, I don't want to say their first and only handheld, because they also did the Sega Nomad, which was pretty much a portable Sega Genesis player. They could play the actual Genesis, which I have back here, Genesis cartridges, into the game. A little bit of a battery hog, but this is a Sega Game Gear. More than anything, it's more of a Sega Master System, handheld Master System. But it had a lot of great games. Here's what the games themselves look like. This is good old Sonic the Hedgehog. Kind of went with a basic one. So on this video, we're going to take a tour of the system, kind of show off a little bit what's on it, and what the games look like. Learn a little bit more about the history, and we'll play. I think we'll kind of dive into two different Sega Game Gear games. We won't spoil too much, because I definitely do want to do more with the Sega Game Gear in the near future. So let's pop it in and enjoy another episode of Game Time. Alright, here it is, Game Timers, the portable Sega Game Gear. As you can see, portable video game system. Here's what the system itself looks like. Very Sega looking. Got the D-pad on the left side, little speaker below that, the 1 and 2 buttons, and the little start button right above them. So it's kind of fun to hold. D-pad itself kind of sticks out there a little bit, but makes for a really good D-pad. Kind of a little bit of a rock there to it. On top of the system is where we have the volume as well as the headphone jack. We have a little extension. I'm not sure. I think that was used for, if I remember right, they did a gear-to-gear sort of a link cable where you can do two-player games for two players with Game Gears. There's the good old power button as well as the adapter for the AC adapter, which I actually do have, because this thing is a whopping, on back here, 3 AA batteries. That's quite a bit, but no, that's not all. It actually takes 6 AA batteries, and for the most part has a lifespan of roughly 3 to 5 hours. So that was not very good. It was very pricey to keep powering the thing, especially for long road trips. If you were a kid back in the 90s, you had to get quite a few of the AA batteries. Serial number and everything on back. Again, that's where your cartridge slot right there. That's where your cartridges go. Nothing much on the side, but it is a nice smooth side to it. It's lots of fun to hold. This side actually does have does have a brightness feature right there. You can kind of control the backlight of the screen, because this, unlike the original Game Boy, does have a backlit screen, so you can kind of play in the dark or low light areas, as well as a full color screen. Very similar to a system I reviewed not long ago, and I'll provide a link in the description for that as well. The Atari Lynx. This is from Atari. Got the D-pad, 2 buttons over there, and you can actually play left-handed if you're so inclined. Neat little feature. Also featured a colored screen and backlit as well, and a lot of the same ports there. There was the cartridge slot, and this thing actually took, I forget right offhand, it took I think as well 6 AA batteries right there on bottom. So a lot of these things were battery hogs. Meanwhile, good old Game Boy was, yes, black and white, but I think it only took 4 AA batteries, or two or 4. Later models took AAA and everything. and definitely had a better library of games. So again, here's what the games look like. I just have a few games here: Sonic Triple Trouble, Sonic 2, all the great Sonic games. I got a nice little collection right there. All in all, the Game Gear at the end of the day did have close to 300 games, or roughly right around 300 games. They only had 6 at the start to begin with, so a slow start, but that's a system that definitely grew a little bit over time. It came out here in the U.S. on April 26, 1991, but launched the previous year in Japan. In 1990, Australia seen it in 1992. It came out for $150 at the time, and keep in mind that was $1991, so a little pricey, but definitely a good hardware, worth it. It sold about 10 million units, and was discontinued unfortunately in the 97. So that's really about that. Sega after this made the Sega Nomad, which I mentioned earlier, which was a portable Sega Genesis. A lot of the games for the Game Gear were ports from the Master System, which was Sega's first video game console, and there actually was an adapter where you could play Sega Master System games on the Sega Game Gear, just because it had the same 2-button layout on the D-pad. The Sega Game Gear also had a TV tuner that could go into it. That was a little pricey at the time, and I like to see what one looks like. I kind of distinctly remember seeing one, like a demo when I was a kid at a Target or someplace. I remember playing Sega Game Gear. It was one of those Sonic games, and I seen they had like a TV tuner, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I got the power adapter for that, Sega power adapter for the Game Gear, because there's no way in heck I'm going to use batteries all the time I want to play it. But unless I take it on the go, then I'm going to need batteries. But a lot of my handhelds are actually just played at home while cozied up in bed. So yeah, that's the and the one speaker down there. That's the tour of the system itself. So a little bit about that as well. Let's see if there was any other fun tidbits. Not that I'm necessarily seeing. I mentioned the TV tuner and everything. So yeah, this main competition was Nintendo's original Game Boy, as well as, at the time, the good old Atari Lynx, as well as NEC. They did a Turbo Express, which was sort of a handheld TurboGrafx. So I think it could actually play TurboGrafx 16 games as well. So some very stiff competition, and again, the 10 million units sold. It did pretty well, but again, game library just couldn't compete with the good old Game Boy. So let's put a game or two in and see how it plays out. All right, let's play it. Sorry for the video and audio quality. It's weird. It's kind of hard to record straight from a handheld. So I'm going to adjust the brightness here on the screen. Too bright, too dark. There we go. Volume up just a little bit. I think we're ready to play. This is a Sonic Triple Trouble. This is one that's exclusively to the Game Gear. As you can see, kind of later in life. It looks like 1996. So, has good old Knuckles in. Knuckles is always one of my favorite Sonic characters. Sorry, Sonic or Tails. Oh, I want to play as Knuckles. We'll just do good old Sonic. We'll play a quick round here. Pull it up a little bit. You can see the sense of speed, definitely very good, and definitely when compared to the Game Boy, has a very great sense of speed to it. It's very colorful. The sound's okay. I mean, for its time, you have to remember early 90s and everything. Very good in my opinions for its time. Sega Genesis always had, I think, inferior sound compared to the good old Super Nintendo, but that's a debate for another episode. Sonic's not going fast enough. And here we go. I have to admit, for a handheld, pretty good sense of speed there. Yeah, get some rings here. Oh, perfect. I'm kind of playing just off the camera phone screen here, so sorry if I'm not playing overly well. It's a little weird. It's saying down. So I have a nice little, decent little handheld, or Sega Genesis, Sega Game Gear collection of games. I'm interested in knowing in the comments below any gems that you would recommend for the Sega Game Gear. I have a nice little collection. They're a little hard to find in my neck of the woods. I just don't see a lot of Game Gear games. But definitely interested in expanding this library just a little bit. Let's move on and let's play a different game here. I'm going to shut the system off. And what's good old 90s action, early 90s without a little Taz, the Tasmanian Devil. I never was a huge fan. Well, I liked my Looney Tunes back in the day. Never was... And what's some early 1990s action without a little Taz, the Tasmanian Devil? I never was, well, I enjoyed my Looney Tunes back in the day, but I never got as much into Taz as I'm sure a lot of other people did. This was quite the big deal back in the day. I'll adjust the screen again there a little bit. So you got your Taz there. He can do a nice little tornado there. Can do the jumping. I'm not quite sure where we're at. If we're on the Mars or we're someplace, but we're trying to get out there. But yeah, I thought this was a fun little 1990s thing because he was quite the popular character I remember back in the day. And it's fun to see a different platformer on a Sega system other than Sonic all the time. There's a good old Daffy Duck there. I don't know if we need to chat with him or not. No, it looks like he was hurting us there a little bit. So we'll take care of that. I don't remember them being enemies, but again, it's been a little while. So yeah, there's a little Taz, the Tasmanian Devil for the Sega Game Gear. Alright everyone, thanks for watching our little system overview of the Sega Game Gear handheld gaming system released in the early 90s. Yeah, nothing too much else to say other than leave a comment below in the video here for titles that you recommend that I get for my Sega Game Gear. I don't have a lot of games. I have, like I said, about 10 or 12 Game Gear games at the time of this video. Definitely aim to get quite a few more. I know there is a number of great ones to be had for the Game Gear. So again, leave some recommendations in the comments. I definitely see all the comments that you guys post, and I will take them into consideration. So these are a few other titles as well. Hopefully we'll see in the near future. I like to do another video or two showing off some gameplay, maybe a little bit better quality than what this video contains. So these are a couple of future games I know I want to do for sure. So also leave a comment if you want to see any of these particular 4 titles. Again, I do have a few other ones as well, so we'll get to. There's plenty of time to do it in. So again, thank you so much for watching. Again, check out CatMax Gaming, link in the description. Steve's a great guy, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Much appreciated, and happy gaming.